What's up everyone, Juan q.v.o Games, and today we're doing a before you buy Dinosaur World. It's basically my style form of reviews, really cliche, it's been done before in other forms of videos, but I haven't seen it in the board game space, so that's kind of what we're doing. Essentially the game, Dinosaur World, you're kind of in a, regardless, before we actually start, if you don't mind actually liking, subscribing, and commenting, or shoot me a message. Let's just chit chat games, talk about games. I really want to talk to people, create a community, play online board against everybody, and let's get that going. I would love to do that and have that with you guys. So yeah, let's shoot a comment or something, and let's start to like that friendship. I would love that. So Dinosaur World essentially is, I feel like it's kind of like a Jurassic Park, Jurassic World kind of thing going on there, where you're you're trying to basically build your theme park, Jurassic World. Right, like the movies. You're trying to build your theme park, and you're trying to gain excitement or victory points. The way you win at the end of the game is having the most victory points. How do you gain victory points? You do that by either upgrading your stuff here, going through different paddocks and creating dinosaurs. Basically, the main form of gaining points, and the way I kind of sweep the win my first couple playthroughs, was making dinosaurs. If you make dinosaurs, you gain points. That's kind of like the way that's kind of I feel like that's the main way of winning, making your dinosaurs. I can't see it being any other way, but we'll see, and we'll find out the more I play, and this review will actually reveal that. So, you play the game over 5 phases. First phase is, of course, gathering your workers. So, your workers come from the worker database, right? And you have a selected few cards here that have different workers in different colors. They have a park ranger. The green one gets you VC funding, which is like getting money. The blue one is going to be for DNA splicing or connecting DNA or DNA refinement. The yellow ones are going to be for security, and the white ones are more like wild. So they can basically be used for any meeple type. However, you don't get the bonuses when you go into the DNA. So basically, if you do DNA refinement, you have a blue meeple, but you also gain a specific type of DNA. And the DNA, you don't get that bonus when you use a white one. It's more like a wild, like I said. So, going over a little more of the game itself. So, phase 2 is going to be public actions. And public actions are going to be the gather DNA, build an attraction, which is going to be gathering attraction for the main islands. This is the special building islands, attraction island, and the dinosaur paddocks. Also, we have to roll the DNA dice. I'm going to do just a 2-player game overview, kinda, and we're not really going to go too deep into it, but we're going to go ahead and grab our dice, we roll them, and we put them right here to indicate the DNA that all players have to choose from. It even says it on here, actually, 2 players on the board itself. So when you put them down, you have different colors of DNA. What those DNA mean, you have your basic DNAs, and you have like your upgraded DNAs, your different or higher refined DNA, basically. If you look here, you're going to see the yellow, red, and blue. So when you refine them in the future, yellow, blue equal purple, yellow, red equal orange, blue and yellow equal green. It looks like a teal, but it's green. I would say it's green. And that's kind of helps you remember like what equals what. And you have that here when your player's setup, which is basically this, plus how long you're going to have your park here. So the player setup is basically these 2 things. And people say it's a table hog because of that, but I feel like it's a table hog only if you have multiple players playing. Because having 4 players with this kind of like this game, yeah, I mean each board has its own whole area. It's really tough to fit on one table. If you have like 2 people, it's really not that bad, personally. So, going over the DNA storage still, your player board, you have your DNA storage, and then some of your threat level, security level, and your Jeeple upgrades. Your Jeeple upgrades have little arrows indicating when you put these down. Actually, when you first start the game, you actually have to have one in already. One's DNA, one's for extra security, one's for upgraded DNA, one's for an extra meeple, and one's for money. You get to use those more later as well as you upgrade your Jeeple, which is like your Jeeple track here. You actually gain more upgrades, and you're going to get those at your upkeep phase. To continue on going with that, you're going to basically either get an attraction, a special building attraction, or dinosaur paddock. Honestly, I've noticed that the dinosaur paddocks, I feel like building dinosaurs is the way to go if you want to win the game. Like, you can get so many points by just pumping out dinosaurs. And yeah, your deaths might be high, and I'll go over that a little bit more later to like kind of give a little overview of that. But I feel like that's the way to go to win. You can get, I mean, I gained 30 points with like just storing my DNA and using it all effectively. It was pretty crazy, and it really just put me over for the win. Continue on. There's going to be also private actions, and the private action phase, it's the next phase essentially. With the private actions, you're going to be combining or splitting DNA. You're basically using this board here for your private actions. You're going to either refine DNA, you're going to put a little meeple here, a blue one, or any color depending on however you put a blue one. You actually get a bonus for that. And you're going to put them right here on this little square, and from that square, you're going to be able to refine your DNA here. Turn your basic refining your DNA is turning your yellow or reds into purples, yellow or reds into orange, blue, red into purple, yellow, blue into teal. Or you're going to be able to gain money with this. Of course, use a green one. It's more security. It's going to end up it's going to be yellows, and you gain your security, move your tracker up. Jeeple Garage is moving this up, of course, upgrading your Jeeple with the purples, and making dinosaurs is any color. It can be any color. However, the expensive part of making dinosaur, of course, is the DNA cost, which can be, if you look here, there's three different types of dinosaurs with this without the expansions. It's going to be the herbivore, the carnivore, and the omnivore. If you look right here, it takes a yellow, a green, or a teal. It looks like, we're gonna do a green. A green, and it looks like this one's actually pretty easy. You have 0 here, but you would need an orange and a purple to keep going. Bottom here tracks your excitement, and you can have to roll a die to see who dies. You have 3 different dice. You have a red, a green, and a purple. And the red, green, and purple for the red for the carnivores, purple for the omnivores, green for the herbivores. Looks like herbivores is the less risk. Definitely less risk. Yeah. Continue on, and you're going to be using basically your meeples, putting them, it's like your employees, right? You're kind of putting them to work and doing different things for you. And then for the next phase, you're going to go into your Jeeple tour. Your Jeeple tour essentially is going to be when you have your meeple and you have your 2 little arrows, and they're going to be moving around your little park. Let's grab the Pandasaurus HQ. By the way, Pandasaurus HQ, I believe, was actually a Kickstarter exclusive. A couple of tiles are Kickstarter exclusives in this game, in my version of the game. I did get the Kickstarter version, and of course, the coins itself are actually also really nice. I mean, they look great. They really look better than the plastic tokens. Seriously, 10 out of 10 for these. These are super, super good looking. I love them. And wow, that's really, cosmetically, I think it's just that really got upgraded. And we do have a promo card. You kind of like, it's like a recruiter promo card. At any time, once per game, you may switch out your meeples. If not used by, and you gain 7 points if you don't use it. It actually helps a lot, and I'll explain that more in the review of why that helps a lot for the game. We're just doing the overview still. Also, I got a first player token, which is like a little, like the mosquito inside the, like a fossil, I guess, or fossilized mosquito. Looks really, really cool. I really like that a lot. That's kind of honestly the few cosmetic changes. Otherwise, they're pretty similar in the retail version. So keep going. The Jeeple tour. You go through your Jeeple, right, and it activates different ones, and you generate excitement, and that's going to be determined. You get bored, like the Jeeple people get bored, and you put these little 1 tokens or 2 numbered tokens, and they go right here when they go there, and it determines how bored people are of attending that section. When you go there, you have a specific number of dinosaurs, you gain excitement. Excitement is how you gain money. So if you look over here on the victory tracker, like I guess you can call it it's just like a tracker board, I feel. You're gonna go over here and you're gonna look, and you're gonna see that the higher you go in excitement, the more money you get. However, if you keep visiting the same part of the park over and over and over and over again, well, now you are basically generating a lot of boredom, which it can go up to 5 or even, I'm sure even higher if you really want to. But if you're going there and it's already 5 or higher than 3 or 2, I think you're probably gonna be losing the game because you're wasting a lot of time. You're wasting your time and stuff. So your arrows just track what direction your Jeeple is going to go. And each tile has some really fun stuff added to it. And I really want to explore that more and see all the different tiles and what they do and how they function, how they perform. And yeah, so the game, and it also, another thing that comes with I think it's like the embroidered bag, which looks super, super nice. I love it. It looks great. And the dice also look great. That's kind of the gist of the game. That's kind of a quick overview of what Dinosaur World is. I almost said island. I was really close to an island there. Dinosaur World is. And then there's actually phase 5 where you can do the incoming cleanup phase. The incoming cleanup phase is basically just grabbing your little workers, putting them onto the discard pile. And I have all those tokens here. We're going to look at those a little closely a little bit later. Having them right here and going over like the different, sorry, the income cleanup phase. Yeah, you're going to be basically grabbing your little token guys, putting them away, having your upgrades here if you got to the point, and you tell also a little thing about the upgrades as well, is that it costs 1, 2, 3, 4 tokens, etc., etc. And of course, if you use specific meeples, the colored meeples specifically to the locations or like the jobs, I guess you can call them, you actually can do that do that differently. You also determine how many of your deaths, right? So if I have 7 threat and 6 security, then one person has died at my park so far. And yeah, I feel like that makes perfect sense. That just happens. So it makes perfect sense, honestly. Continue on with the explanation. The game does. That's basically actually the whole game, not explanation. However, now it's time for the review part of the game. The game is great, and I really enjoy the game, and I like it a lot. I do think that the game seems to lack a little bit of like variability, I guess. It's a really simple game, honestly. I would call it simple medium. Light medium would be like the complexity of the game. Light medium complexity. The game honestly can be played pretty fast. The rulebook is pretty big, and when I mean big, I don't mean like long, right? It's like around 15-20 pages, and honestly, the rulebook, it's all big pictures and explanations, and they do a really good explaining the game. And the last half of the rulebook is all a solo mode. And I didn't play the solo mode and wasn't really looking into it. And also, the last page also explained the expansions, which is great. So I believe, I want to say it's like a Kickstarter exclusive rulebook at that point. Not too sure about that, so don't quote me, please. However, it's really easy to learn. It's super easy to learn. I got to play it at Origins Online, I believe, with Pandasaurus, and it was a lot of fun. The game, and I played it now, of course, a couple times, and the game is played pretty fast. If everyone's kind of playing the game and doing their actions quick enough, you can play the game an hour and a half, 2 hours tops. You can probably play a second game as well. Kind of the variability is when you have a lot of tiles, but going through all these tiles, it seems like you could only really go through them the more players you have. If you have like 4 players and you're just quickly cycling through all these, it could be pretty quick, and that can be a way to kind of see everything. However, the game can also be a little, I don't know what the word for it is, but it just kind of drags you on phase by phase. You don't really have much to like think about or do. It's just kind of like the strategy kind of, I feel, lacks. You don't really have too much strategy. You just are kind of railroading you through the whole game, right? It's just, this is the way it's going to be the whole time. The options are pretty limited. Grab a tile, put them on, grab your workers. And I feel like even with the workers, some people's complaints were that the workers are, like you might have like set up a tile, but your workers essentially might not match that. Or in the future, you might need a worker that you don't have in your park already. So I think that might be part of, like, maybe a part of a strategy where you're trying to grab different tiles to make up different pathways, and your pathways are like maybe variety, right? If you have a yellow worker, you go this way. If you have a purple worker, you go that way. Stuff like that. And I can see the way that the workers can kind of determine what you are and aren't going to do. That can kind of, if you don't have the right worker, I mean, you're basically you need to make your park right at the beginning, or you messed up your park at the beginning, you're going to have a tough time, and you're just not going to have a good time. I think the components of the game, honestly, top tier. The upgrades, everything about the components are great. Just look at these dice; they look amazing. The tiles, you can easily tell the size of the tiles are perfect. You can tell and look at every single piece of that. It looks awesome. Even the double layer player boards are really nice as well, and you even have tokens to track your deaths, which are up here on the right. I have these coins and the upgraded Kickstarter coins, and they look amazing. They look so good. I love them. And the ones are like kind of triangles, and 5s are different as well. The copper ones, they're like copper, and the 5. There you go. Autofocus did us great. One thing about the components, the boredom trackers were not fun at all to track. If they have so many other dice, why not provide like maybe small little single dice or something around those lines. I almost dropped it. I feel like losing these is cool as well, as like pretty easy as well. But they're little numbered dice, little numbered tokens, and you have to put them on your tile to track the boredom of, of that tile that you visited so many times, and that can be really tedious. I can only imagine how many dice you should provide. I mean, it would have been like at least, I mean, it makes sense, right? Like 60 dice, right? And maybe, and they all track a different part of the boredom, basically. So if you have 4 players, and everyone has 5 tiles, and you have to track boredom, and they're hitting off 5 tiles, I mean, that's 20 dice already. And if someone has more, I mean, you're going to need at least 30, 40 dice. Yeah, I think it's hard to track, definitely. I can't really just blame them on that, but I think I'll probably, if I play this game again, which I am going to play it again, I will probably use dice, or small dice, to track the boredom. These little pieces are just not the best. And then punching them out was really, really, like, tedious. And then tracking them and organizing them, it just wasn't cool. But it's fine. I mean, it's just the way it is. We'll just grab dice to do that. The little meeples are really cute too, little workers. They're awesome. I really like these a lot. They look great. Next thing is also like the dinosaurs, little dinosaur pieces. They look awesome as well. This is going to be an omnivore. There you go. Focus. There we go. It's going to be an omnivore. This is going to be a little, this is going to be a carnivore. And this is going to be over here a herbivore. They look amazing. Tiles look great as well. The art looks awesome. Dinosaur World is, I feel like they do a really good job playing into a theme because you also have deaths, of course. So, you have your little death tokens. They track the deaths. Little plastic tokens. They look good. Yeah, they did a really good job. The production value is there. When you're playing the game, I mean, you're not really bored at all, personally. I love the way it looks. I guess it's not really a complaint for me, but if you're playing with 4 players, yeah, it can be a table hog. I mean, you're going to need a full table because people are extending their parks. People are like, there's 4 of you now, and you have to have this in the center for everyone to reach and grab what they need. And that can be a little cumbersome, of course, on your table, depending on how big it is. So, they did include a promo card. And the promo card is a recruit. I think it's only for Kickstarters, unfortunately, but it's called a recruiter, and it's like a rule variant, basically. It says at any time, once per game, you may switch 2 meeples for any 2 other meeples. If you don't use this, by the end of the game, you gain 7 points. And you place this card next to the worker database cards. At any time, once per game, you may exchange up to 2 of your workers for workers of any color. You place one of like your unused route tokens on here to mark that you used it, basically. It's like a little rule variant, and that does help a lot because it feels like sometimes when you're playing, the worker you needed or the workers you need didn't come out on the database cards, and they are pretty limited, and it's random, so it is very much a little bit of luck involved. But to plan around that as well, you could be, like I said earlier, plan different tiles to be like, okay, if I can't go this way, I'll plan it this way. If I can't go this way, I'll plan it that way. So there is a workaround, but that was one of the biggest complaints I heard about the game. The game also, I mean, it comes with the token where like you can mark the 100 or the 50, and the 100 and the 50, going over 100 points, I mean, I don't think I did. I went over 50, but not over 100. And I think that's really cool if you can combo it that way, where like, you can gain so many. But I did go up like 30, 40 points my first playthrough, and I sweeped and I advanced so much. So it is possible, definitely. Yeah, the components are great. The game is a good game. Unfortunately, if you didn't get the Kickstarter, these gold coins are top notch. The dice are top notch. The dinosaurs. It's honestly a game that's going to be staying in my collection for a very long time. I don't think it's leaving. I think it's really easy and accessible to bring out and play with different people. And if you're like a Zoo Tycoon or like a Dinosaur Tycoon, right? Like those old, like a Tycoon or Roller Coaster Tycoon, that old video game where you can build an amusement park. I think this mirrors that experience a little better. And if you played Dinosaur Island and you like Dinosaur Island, I think Dinosaur World's a little more streamlined and more thematic, personally, for me. It kind of like did everything a little bit better, in my personal opinion. Also, the components look a lot better, in my also as well. Another little thing is the objective cards. I didn't explain this a little bit in the overview just because I feel like I forgot about them when I played as well. And it just happens. You have 3 objective cards that come out, and you have multiple different ones, A, B's. They're kind of categorized by A, B, and C. You bring one out of each. And you can gain so many points from doing those as well. Like, for example, the objective of the A card is going to be to create carnivores. And the first person to do that is 9 points, second 6, fourth. Do all these actions here, which include refinement, making a herbivore, omnivore, carnivore, and they're here is getting 4 deaths in 1 round, which is possible actually. It's very much possible to do that. 4 deaths in 1 round is possible. You just have enough paddocks for everyone to go through and hope that you roll enough deaths that round. So that's really cool too, and they have a little bit of variability, and that's where I think the game lacks, even with the expansions. Because I don't think the expansions really change the mechanics, they just add more pieces, which is always great because they're all beautiful pieces and they all look really good. But if you're buying this game and you're kind of considering how many plays you can get out of this, really consider the plays the same every time. There's not really much changing. Yeah, the tiles you might pull might be different, but it plays pretty similarly, and you are like kind of railroaded with like doing certain things. Also, the way the tiles are set up, they're A, B's, and C tiles. You might want to change them up if you really are playing a 2-player game over and over again. I'll probably put B, C tiles above A, or vice versa. I mean, if I like C, B tiles or C, kind of change it up so you see the C, B tiles more often. And definitely try to consider the fact that you might want to be switching out your paddocks just so you can see all the tiles and really experience it. Even like strategy-wise, I truly think it's if you make dinosaur paddocks and you make dinosaurs constantly, you're going to win. It's hard to say you're not going to. Just keep on making your dinosaurs and fusing them, and that's the way to go. Personally, for me, that's how I got so many points. Focus on like your DNA refinement and your dinosaurs, and that's how you win. That's kind of like the way it is. I feel like, and I haven't really found a different way to win, or if you can win without that. So I think that's kind of like another issue with the game, is that it just plays that way. Like I said, I still really enjoy the game. I don't not enjoy it. It's still fun. I still think I'm going to be using it to present to like newer players or something easier to bring out to other players. And I still got to play through all the other three expansions, so I'm really looking forward to that. So before you buy this game, consider this. The game doesn't have a lot of variability. The game also can be a table hog with 4 players. And the game also seems to be... I mean, this was a little iffy, and I'm not too sure if that's the kind of a big thing, but it does seem to really bias towards having the worker database at the beginning. And if you don't build your park at the beginning, you're screwed. And I mean that like as in like your park isn't built right at the beginning, you're gonna have a tough time. There is one little thing about that third one, is that the welcome center you kind of turn into a park entrance, and you actually put it over to a different side of the park that's 3 away from you had your welcome center before, and that happens after round 3. So that could actually change it up a little bit for you in the mid game, but it can happen that way. Regardless, great game. Pandasaurus did a really good job. The components are top tier. The game looks amazing, plays amazing. However, keep those things in mind that this game might not be for you if you're not looking for something that's light medium, I guess you can say, complexity, and if you're looking for something that has variability. So that's kind of the main, a couple other things about that. Let me know what you think about the game. Comment, like, subscribe, please. I appreciate it, and let me know what you think, and let's talk games. If you like this game, if you play this game, if you're going to pick it up, if you're not going to pick it up, if you picked it up, and if you picked up the expansion and played them, let me know what you think. Thank you so much, everybody. Juan for q.v.o Games.